Welcome to this little mini course where we're just going to make a little thank you card using two languages on this little violet piece of paper. Thank you here, and then we're going to say in French, Merci beaucoup. So it'll be in a sort of flowing copperplate script, not written on strict lines, just something simple and just on a small card like this. But first, let's just practice the letters in pencil that I want to show you. We're not going to do the whole alphabet in copperplate, just the forms of the letters, and do them in pencil first. Here's the T for thank you, a nice oval loop, and that's the top of the T, and then a curved spine to the letter, a bit like old-fashioned handwriting. Our grandparents probably learned to write like this at school. Here's the H, and this is unusual. It has a little break in the middle. First half is rounded, and then there's another half that's another round, goes right through the top of the T, and it has to touch that point with the straight line, and then up and around. So there's a double loop and then a straight line. This is an oval as well. Start over on the right for the A, then jump over here. See the forms. You're going to practice these anyway a few times. There's another arch for the N, nice and fluid. Try to keep the same width. The K is going to be like the H, a double loop with that point in the middle, up, and the straight line has to touch it on the way down. Quite straight, not rounded, just down, and then come away. And there's the K. So really nice flowing kind of script. This is sort of flowing. We're going to repeat that for the capital Y. Around, down, and up. You should practice these shapes several times. Get them so they're really comfortable. Way down for the tail of the Y. And pass underneath the first loop, of course. Don't touch it. And now the O starts on the right, like the A. Imagine the oval and start over on the right hand side, around, same kind of oval, little twirl there like a little eyelash coming out, and you can attach it to the next letter or you can leave a space. Let's just practice the shape of the U. Doesn't have to be open there, but we'll leave it that way. A point, and then a nice kind of an arabesque, a flourish at the end. And I'm doing this sort of on a curved shape. Then the next part's going to be curved as well. For Merci beaucoup. Of course, you could do just one or the other. I'm showing you in both languages. And don't come straight down, a bit rounded, a bit like an S shape there on the first part of the M. Up again, parallel to the first stroke, even higher, and that's a bit of a different form coming down. And I like to add kind of a swirl coming into the M to balance it. Now the E is like a mini form of the H in that you have this kind of double loop, 1 and 2, so that when you do the back of the E, you're going to touch that point. That's important. Come a little higher for the R, up and around, a little rounded coming down. C over on the right side, and then around to the left, and the little I. Nice circular dot over it, merci, and the word beaucoup, a beautiful B, nice fluid shape, 1 loop, 2 loops, little turn here, and bigger at the bottom, and then it comes right through the first line, little twirl there. The E you've already done, the A you've already done, and the U as well. There's a lot of letters you'll be repeating. There's this kind of movement is going very curvy. It's easier without lines. Another O, a little circle at the end. The U, you have a lot of repeated letters, so that's easy. P is quite high, higher than the U. Up and straight down, and then an open form P. See, it doesn't touch. And here we're going to do our little whirligig going the other way. So there you have the two lines. Practice these over and over, just like at school before we take our bouncy copperplate pen. You see how supple and flexible this nib is. And when you go up, you hardly touch the paper. Very thin lines. It's when you go downwards that you push. So I'm going to take a bit of gouache I love writing in gouache, as you know if you follow any of the lessons on my school. So I add a bit of water to gouache. You could do it in watercolour as well, but gouache is a bit thicker. And a kind of a fat paintbrush that I'm not going to paint with. I just use it for mixing colours. Mix the water in with the gouache. Even though the gouache has dried, it'll come back to life with a bit of water. I keep the gouache in my palette, and even if it dries out, you can use it again. Get a nice liquidy soup there on your paintbrush. And now we're going to try with the Copperplate pen. Or you could use any pointed pen, but I love this one because it's kind of angled to go the angle of the letters. Paint the back of it, cover the hole. That's the reservoir, is the hole in the pen. So cover that with your paint. Turn it back around. I always have a paper under my hand so I don't get any oils on the paper. Actually, I'll do it right over the letters that we did in pencil. Then it's a guide. So don't press very hard when you're going up. Very, very light, like you're just caressing the paper when you go upwards. And the pen is on this angle. Hold the pen so that it's on the angle of the slant of the letters, which is easy for us because we're not writing on lines. We're writing on curves. So it's not too strict. It's quite comfortable angle. Up very lightly, and whenever you go downwards, press harder, and then you get the thick line. Light, light, light going up and across. I'm hardly pressing at all. And then when I go downwards here, press, press, press. It's a really soft pen, so don't be afraid of pressing a bit on it. And light when you come around the corner there. See, it doesn't stay heavy. It's only when you go down it's heavy. Add a little twirl at the end. So the H, remember there's two parts going up in that angle, and it's going to be very light for both of them. So a light curve here, just floating over the paper. You can almost hear the pen scratching a bit on the paper. And now I press, as I touch that point, down, release the pressure to go up, and press again to go down. Around, very light, 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 light. I can see that the paint is leaving because I can see the hole appearing on the pen. So I'm going to need to refill the pen in a moment. Up lightly, down heavy, up very light, jump over here, press on the pen, try to get the same amount of pressure. I think I'll add a little bit more paint there. And of course, when you're getting ready to do your little card, do a practice page with these words several times. Up lightly, down heavy, up. Notice the shape of this N, it's a bit curvy. Here's your double stroke going up with a little point in the middle, and a straight line, press, 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 press right to the bottom. I need to put a bit more ink. I know I was only going to do one word, so I wasn't putting a lot of ink in my pen, or a lot of gouache rather. And this doesn't touch the bar, it comes away from the first line, very light. Here's where you press once, press again here, and very light to exit. So it's a real rhythm you get with the pen flowing along, and letter after letter with pressing and releasing. So you'll be practicing those a few times in ink or color. And now I take my little card I've in colored craft paper, and I'm just going to give myself the idea here with the shape of it so that I can plan how I'm going to put the lines on it. That's always a good idea, and you can practice on this square as well, or this rectangle. So I can even do the pencil work on the card as well, but that's going to be the line for thank you, and that's going to be the line for Merci beaucoup. So I can even do a double line, which could help me a bit more. Then when you have the letters, they're within those two lines, especially the A and the N. Of course, the ascenders go above it. But even a simple line, this is a very informal, kind of free-flowing card. We're not doing straight lines with a ruler. So I take my card here, and I think I could just indicate in pencil my two lines, because I can erase these after the gouache is dry when I've finished, and that'll keep me on the right curve as I'm writing, and then I'll erase it after. I don't think I'll double them. I'll just give myself that idea of direction. So on a colored paper, you could do this on white paper, of course, with colored gouache, but I'm going to clean my pen and do in white gouache on colored paper, which I love, or it could even be a white mixed with a bit of red to make a pink or something. Just add a little bit to see if I can bring my dry gouache back to life with a nice cleaner brush. It's a little bit thick still. I add one more drop of water. That's it. Mix, mix, mix. Even if it's not completely white, it could have a little bit of the purple left in it. It would still be really pretty. Paint the back of your copperplate nib. Test your pen on your paper. Yes, it's coming out. Well, it's a little bit violet, but that's all right. And off we go. So you've been practicing your letters already. So courage, take a deep breath, imagine them coming in the right angle. This is a very slanty script, even on a curve. So try to let your letters slant. On this nice paper, I'm even getting a finer line, which is nice. So there's more contrast on a good art paper between the very thin and the thicker lines. And you see how nice the white is on the colored paper. Through the ceiling of the T with the H. And around for the A, press and light, press and light, press and light. Another light loop, and then press, 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 and then the arch of the K. K is a lovely letter. Could add a little bit more weight there. They should all be the same, the weights of the letters going down. I need a little bit more paint there. Try to keep all the downstrokes the same amount of pressure, and the lovely swirl on the Y. See, this is quite a fast script to write, really, when you get used to these words. Little circle. I think I'll attach it here because it seems to lead into the next letter. And there's a little circle again, and our flourish. Thank you. And now we'll go down here for the M, a bit lower, around, and press, and light, and press, and light, and press. I'm going to go right down below the line. Fill that in a bit. Need to add a little bit more paint. Every time you add the paint, you can even test it beside to make sure you don't get a drop of paint on the paper. Don't forget my little decoration here on the left, I like. That's very light. And then the double loop for the E, up and around, and touch the point going down. And I'm trying to keep the same heights of the letters. I get a bit of dust there. And if it varies a little bit, it's not catastrophic because we don't have lines to follow and it's a swirly script. Quite high, the dot over the I. Leave a good bit of space, don't make it too close. I think I have room for the Beaucoup. Around 1 and 2 and a little loop here, a fatter body there for the B, and then right through the first stroke. That's it. And there's the E again. Start the A on the right. The U, you have 2 down strokes. Oop, I need a bit more paint. When you see that hole appearing, you know you need to add a little bit more. There's usually not an attached reservoir for the copperplate pen, so just keep filling it. That's already thin, so I do the thick on this side and the C, little circle on this side, and then up and around, push and release. There's a circle on the O as well, push and release. The 2 sides are different. The U, whenever you go down, you push on the pen. Push, 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 stop. There's a bit of a flow to the words. I'm just going to make it here with my little flourish. Around, and then we went in the other direction that time. That's it. So that's spaced out the words quite well on the card. And now with the copperplate pen, I'm going to do a little bit of decoration in the two corners. I love that with this pen. You can really draw with it. Let's keep it really, really simple. I clean my pen off. That's what's nice with gouache. It cleans off easily. And I'm going to do maybe little flowers, one in each corner. Let's add a bit of darker purple to complement the light purple paper I'm using, a mauve paper with a purpley ink. So just here, I'll show you, this is, of course you can use any kind of motif, little hearts or little daisies or anything you like, but this is a kind of a simplified little rose shape, very simplified, a bit abstract. I do a little double loop like that, and a double loop that they don't quite touch, another double loop here at 1 and 2, and I build them up around the outside, crisscrossing over sometimes, start in the middle of one and go to the middle of another, always in two little hills. It's a really stylized form, but it sort of suggests a rose. Makes a little flowery shape, and we're going to do the other one here. This is just a very simplified idea to give a decoration for your card, and see how you can lay it out on that shape. There's my little double lines, and in the other direction I can even do a little loop in the middle, and going from the middle of one around the outside, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and another row connecting these, sort of suggesting petals. It can touch or it can be open work like that. It's really just a little scribbly flower shape, and it in the contrasting color to the light purple and the dark purple makes it look nice. Let's use the same pen, this time with a bit of green, just for the leaves. We're nearly finished. It'll be always appreciated, a little handmade thank you card. And as I say, you can do just one or the other languages. You don't have to do both, but it's kind of nice to have the two there. And it's a good project for practicing. So let's add the green to my pen and just show you a simple way to do a couple of little leaves. I like to vary the weight on the drawing as well, even like I do with the letters. Push a little harder there and a little lighter on the other side, and that way you have the same contrast that you had on the letters. So you can even have the same rule. When you go down you push, when you go up it's light. The Copperplate pen is nice for drawing that way, light and dark. You see each leaf has the two contrasting weights to it, which is nice to have. Push and light, the little vein in the middle. Really simplified. You could do something much more sophisticated with the Copperplate pen if you wanted to, but this is just to do a little practice project. I love things in threes, so I'm going to fit in a third leaf here. There we are. That's nice. And I think that's enough for a simple little card, and I'll erase the pencil line as soon as it's dry and show you the sort of tidied up card. And it would make a lovely little thank you note. There it is, clean with the pencil removed, and the white really stands out nicely. So I hope you've enjoyed this little project and you'll have fun practicing it and varying it a bit. And we didn't do the whole alphabet, so it's just a simple introduction to lovely Copperplate script that will really be lovely in its movement, appreciated by anyone you give that to. Thanks for watching. See you soon.